So let's switch to the AFC. And since you said let's just assume Purdy's back and he's not injured, didn't have any surgery, and he just turns out to be as good as he was last year. Let's assume that for Burrow, right? Let's assume that whatever scared the hell out of everybody in training camp, he's going to be fine, even if it's not week one. They could go a couple of weeks without him and then go on their run and be Joe Burrow leading the Bengals. So give me the team in the AFC that will prevent another Bengals Chiefs rematch in the AFC Championship game. I'll switch it for you, Greg. What do you got?
I think it's got to be Buffalo, right? I think Buffalo is at the point now where they've established that winning tradition. McD has been there. McDermott's been there a long time now. They've got security. They've got their quarterback. They've got young talent. They've got veterans. They've molded that thing pretty much how they envisioned it, and they've had as much success as anybody in the league, with the exception of getting over that hump and making it to the Super Bowl and getting past the AFC Championship game. So I think they've got to be this has to be their year, right? And I think they've been the team that everyone's been thinking can break out. And when you have Josh Allen at quarterback and you have Stephon Diggs and these guys, I mean they're as talented a group, they're as consistent of a group. I think the thing that's held Buffalo from being that top tier and maybe holding a Super Bowl is they just happen to be in the same division as two other, call it generational talents. And how often does one conference? I mean, we saw it for a while with Peyton Manning and Brady and Phillip Rivers, and there's only one of those guys every year out of one conference can go to the Super Bowl. And now, the same things kind of happen in the AFC. And the last couple of years, Burrow and Mahomes have gotten the better out of that conference. And now the question is it Buffalo's time? Is it Josh Allen's time to say, okay, we've kind of played third fiddle in the playoffs, maybe not in the regular season, but in the playoffs we have. Is it our time now to make that jump? And I think they have all the pieces. I think Josh Allen's arguably one of the top 2 or 3 overall players in the whole league. I think McDermott's one of the best coaches in the league. So I think it's Buffalo is right there, and it's that three-headed monster until somebody else proves that they can kind of put themselves in that ranking.
Yeah, but I don't know if you've heard, a first ballot Hall of Famer just parachuted his way into that division, Greg Olsen. So what do you think holds the Jets back from maybe taking that division with a very talented roster and Aaron Rodgers, who I'm sure when you saw him last year did not appear to be the same guy you're seeing on Hard Knocks right now, if you don't mind me supposing.
No, and I had a chance to visit with Aaron the other night. They were here in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. They practiced down at training camp against the Panthers.
Yep.
And then, they came up and played a preseason game. So I went and visited. I know a couple of their front office people and went and saw them at the hotel and had a chance to visit with Aaron for a while. Yeah, he just has a new life to him. He couldn't be more excited. I think the youth of that team kind of has invigorated him a little bit. I think he feels the energy of Sauce Gardner and these young guys, Wilson, and he's around all these young guys that are kind of breathing in this fresh life to him. And it's never been a matter of whether Aaron could play. And obviously we saw him almost single-handedly carry the Packers and almost squeak into the playoffs last year when they were kind of thrown to the wolves halfway through the season as they were kind of left out of that picture. And then he kind of almost got him in there. I think Aaron's going to come out with something to prove. I think on paper their roster is very talented. We got to see how that offensive line develops a little bit. I think that could be a little bit of a question mark. There's some musical chairs up front. Listen, when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, you have a shot in every single game in every single division. It doesn't matter. Can he have the Tom Brady effect when he went to Tampa and joined with all that talent they had? I wouldn't put it by him. It's a little bit of younger talent. It's a little bit of rawer talent. But still, if those young guys can develop and just get to a certain threshold, Rodgers is more than good enough to take them over the top. So I think they've got, obviously, if you ask them, I think they've got to show it. They've got to prove it. If you're asking me would I be shocked if they won the division, absolutely not, because when you have Aaron Rodgers, when you have a quarterback at that level, like all those other teams we talked about, you're in the picture every single game until the season is completely over for you. You have a shot.
So a different cat than the one that you would see in production meetings in the middle of last season, right? Rodgers, different guy?
I just feel like he's so – and I never got the notion that Aaron was checked out. You know, when we talked to him in production meetings, he was as competitive as ever. It ripped him. It killed him that they were losing. It killed him that they were kind of getting kicked around a little bit in the media. Like he's a prideful guy. He's a guy that has high expectations of himself, of his team, of everyone around him, and he's not used to losing. And he hadn't lost a lot in the last couple of years. Him and LaFleur up there in Green Bay before last year. So I think any competitor, anybody who's used to having the personal and team success that he's used to having for 20 years has a high level of expectations, and they obviously fell short of that. So I think now fresh team, fresh circumstances, kind of a breath of fresh air, big city, big spotlight. I think he's relishing in it, and I think he's going to come out this year ready to rip and ready to put the league on notice that he's not quite done yet.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.